Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com, and we're back. Yes, I survived San Diego Comic-Con. So obviously last week, because I was at San Diego Comic-Con, I didn't get a chance to really, for that matter, read the books that came out last week, because the con starts on Wednesday. And it's insanity for like 5 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yep, 5 days. See, I can't even remember how many days it was. I was so tired. The con was great. The lack of Hollywood actually really benefited a lot of smaller panels and stuff. I noticed a lot of the smaller panels were actually pretty busy compared to the past. The weirdest thing was there wasn't anything really big going on in Hall H. From what I am to understand, they never actually filled Hall H at all for any of the panels. But there, as I was coming back from the Eisner Awards on Friday night, there were actually people camped out, and I'm like, why are you camping out? It was weird. The Eisner Awards was great. I part of the staff there that helps helps organize the show. I check in VIP guests. That I'll talk about that at a different point. That was great. Congratulations to all the winners and the nominees. Definitely a lot of really great books. I also want to point out one of my good friends, John Barry and Debbie Hogan Barry. She had a table. She at the this year. She has great jewelry and stuff. But they gave me this lovely "Be Kind" because once again, we need to be kind. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. So thank them for this. It'll go somewhere up there. So it'll be the little B will be a regular guest on the show. Thanks again for that. That was really nice. And once again, being kind. So here's the deal with. So I'm reviewing this week's books, the books that came out this week. So I will do a separate video for last week's books that I will get to later. I want to get the new stuff out first because I think most people have kind of read the previous week, and once again, there a lot of people went to Comic-Con and stuff, and it was I just wanted to get the new stuff. One thing I did want to point out is the books behind me this week is stuff that I got at Comic-Con. So a lot of these I haven't had a chance to read yet. Some of them are our Eisner nominees. Some of them are Eisner winners. But they're really a lot of indie books. I made out like a bandit at First Second Press. On Sunday they had everything at half off, so I bought a lot of stuff there. So I'm really excited about a lot of that. The computer book, I'm actually really excited about. It's kind of the history of computers. Y'all know how much I love 1 Billion Genies. This was a special San Diego Comic-Con exclusive cover. The hardcover did come out this week, and you can get that at your local comic shop, but I did get the special cover. And I'm going to take it really quick because I got to meet Charles Soule and Ryan Brown, and Ryan did this amazing genie sketch for me. So that was really, really nice of him. And Charles to sign that. So I got that. So let me get that back up there. Please don't fall off. Please don't fall off. Okay. So also, I got to meet Pornsack Penshot, who did the Good Agents. Sorry. He also did wonderful the Dead Boy Detectives. That came out from DC recently. They are going to collect. Frizzy is actually one of the Eisner winning books that came out. So I'm really excited to read that. The Pinball Graphic History was nominated, did not win. We'll go back over here. Above the Clouds by Melissa Paglia. Hopefully I pronounced that right, Melissa. Actually met her at one of the panels. One of the previous Eisner judges, Jen Hayes, really praised the book. So I found her. She was in Artist Alley. So I got the book. The artwork's gorgeous, and Jen really recommended it. So I trust Jen on this stuff. So Much for Love. and How I Survived a Toxic Relationship. That was actually nominated for an Eisner award, so I'm excited to read that. And I really want to point out one of the great things about going to Comic-Con is the people that you meet. So I met Ryan Haddock, who did this Flick, the brothers Flick. It's kind of a detective book. I saw the artwork. We ended up talking for quite a while, just about comics and young adult books and stuff like that. I'm really excited to read this book. It came out last year, but I think a lot of people are kind of picking it up. But it was really great to meet Ryan. He was really wonderful. Let me put that back. And I'm very, very excited to read that. So that's the one great thing I love about Comic-Con is you get to meet a lot of creators. Artist Alley was insane. That was like, it was so crowded in Artist Alley. I did luckily get a chance to meet Zoe Thorogood, who was nominated for many Eisners, but she didn't win one for her books. But she did get the Newcomer award, which is actually really impressive. And when I was talking to her, she actually was very happy that she didn't win, in the sense of, it's really her first nomination, it's her first big book, and if you get that, where do you? How do you top it? So she was actually very happy to just be nominated, and she was very excited to get the Newcomer award. And if you go to the Eisner page, you can actually see the people that have won it. The first recipient was Dave Stevens. So there's been a lot of great people over the years that have won that award, and it's really an important award, even though it's not for a specific book. So congratulations to her, and it was really nice to meet her. She was really just an amazing person. So with some Comic-Con stuff out of the way and some books that we picked up, I also got a bunch of swag. Who knows, I may do a video on that, but there was just it was crazy. Let's get to the books. It's a pretty big week. Night Terrors continues, so we're gonna continue with doing those first, get those out of the way. So first up, we have Night Terrors #2, written by Joshua Williamson, with artwork by Giuseppe Camuncoli, Stefano Nessi, and Casper Weingard. So this continues the main story of insomnia. It's putting everybody to sleep. Everybody's having nightmares, but this is really the kind of overall story about insomnia, not specific to the heroes or villains that are having nightmares. So Batman has taken over Deadman has taken over Batman's body, because he's trying to figure things out. And the big surprise in the last issue was that Wesley Dodd, the Golden Age Sandman, came back to life. So he recounts the story of the power that insomnia had gotten, the Power Stone, or the Dream Stone. I don't know at all. It's all blended together after a while. They've teamed up to basically fight insomnia and try to figure out what's going on. And we learn that, like the Metal Men obviously are robots, so they're not affected, and things like that. I kind of like the book. I wouldn't say that I'm overwhelmed. I mean, a lot of the Night Terrors have been kind of hit and miss. Sadly, more miss than hits. I think this main story is okay. I mean, I like Deadman. That's a plus. Having, the Golden Age Sandman back is a big plus. I am a huge fan of, like, the Golden Age, Justice Society characters. So that's nice. The story was okay. The art by the three artists is actually really nice. The art's, has been quite good in that book. It's okay. I think if you're into the Night Terror things, I think it's pretty decent. It's kind of one of the better ones. So that's where we're kind of landing. We got 2 more issues, and I think there's a follow-up special, so we'll kind of see where everything lands in the end. Next up, we have Night Terrors Angel Breaker #1, written by Tim Seeley, with artwork by Aki Bright. So this one is about Angel Breaker and Raptor going to this Cobra safe house. And the Coda Sisterhood is grooming these kids for Cobra, and they're basically, there's some sort of power that has to do with like the Dream Stone or whatever stone has put everybody to sleep, and they kind of show up, and then that they show up before everybody starts falling asleep. And, once again, it was kind of okay. It didn't really, I will say it wasn't a boohoo story, which seems to be, oh, we'll get to those folks. But it was actually kind of a setup pre the nightmares. It was okay. The story was fine, everything. It just was kind of average. I don't think it really, it just kind of felt kind of blah. The artwork was kind of okay. It was decent. It wasn't there were a couple, but there's one from last week. We'll talk about that in the later video that was really not good. The artwork was okay. It just was kind of okay in the end. This one I could say you could definitely, this is a skip one. Next up we have, here. Night Terrors. Night Terrors Detective Comics #1, written by Dan Waters, with artwork by Riccardo Frederici. So this story is actually about Jim Gordon, having the nightmare where, he's kind of reliving, Gotham is, kind of a dump at this point. And, Batman's kind of not there, and he's reliving like his memories of like Batman and stuff. And so what it is, there was a backup story with him in, it was either detective, but I think it was actually the main Batman story, where he rescued this boy who has some sort of power, which we're not entirely sure, it hasn't been fully sussed out, Sorrow. And so he follows him, and he basically, his nightmares, he's kind of trying to, figure out what's going on in Gotham while he's like breaking apart, like his body's breaking apart. It was actually really quite a fascinating story. It wasn't a boohoo story. That was a plus. At this point, I just don't want boohoo stories. But the artwork actually was really nice. This was actually one of the better books. It was definitely above average, and actually was quite nice. I think this one was worth checking out this week. Next up, we have Night Terrors Action Comics #1, with the main story written by Leah Williams, and artwork by Vasco Gregor. And then there's a Superman, kind of the family, the Super Twins and the other, super kids, that is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, with artwork by Maiko Sanyan and Faisco Ozio. So this one is, the main story is Power Girl, is having a nightmare. She's back on Krypton, and she's, this guy's basically going to marry her. The parents are like, oh, we're leaving you, we're marrying you off. It was kind of a semi boohoo story. It wasn't like, it was okay. The artwork was nice and everything, but the story was kind of okay. The backup was, I think, kind of interesting, because it was basically the Super Twins are haunted by Cyborg Superman. And that's their nightmare. So he comes and, attacks the kids and stuff. It was kind of interesting. I mean, it was above average for one of the backup stories, because the backup stories have been kind of, a little tougher. But this one was okay. I would say this one kind of falls into the average category. It was okay. Wasn't terrible, but just kind of okay. Next up, we have Night Terrors Titans, written by Andrew Constant, with artwork by Scott Godalski. So this one was a really weird one, because it starts off with this girl, or this woman, who is trapped in this building, and she ultimately finds the Titans, and rescues them from their nightmares. And what's really odd about the story is that I went back a couple times. They never, for some reason, Constant doesn't give her name. She's just like this random woman. So basically what it is, the Titans are stuck in Titans Towers, and she's rescuing them with the guidance of Raven. This one was just kind of okay. The artwork was kind of okay. This is definitely one you can definitely skip. It was just, it just didn't really go anywhere. It was just kind of like, oh, we're trapped in a nightmare in the house. Yeah, that's nice. Whatever. So that one you can definitely skip. Next up, we have Night Terror's Harley Quinn, #1, with the main story written by Tinny Howard with artwork by Hayden Sherman. And then there's a Harley Quinn backup story by Lee Williams with artwork by Ben Templesmith. So what this is, this was actually one of the actual better books because it did a nightmare kind of outside the box. And what it is Harley is back in Arkham. You know, she's a psychiatrist again, but she discovers a copy of Grant Morrison's multiversity guidebook. So she actually starts going to these different, Earths, and like fighting and stuff like that. And it was really quite fascinating. I definitely have to give it to Howard that this was definitely an outside the box, nightmare, not a boohoo story. And it was really interesting. And the other thing that kind of helped it a lot was Hayden Sherman's artwork. He really went with like the wild and, kind of the different Earths and stuff. She goes to like the vampire Earth. It was really interesting. I mean, it's definitely one of the better Night Terrors for sure. And then the backup by Lee Williams and Ben Templesmith is basically future Harley coming to talk to current Harley. And, once again, I'm not quite sure where the story's going to go because it was, a short story. But having Ben Templesmith do the artwork was a total win because it's been quite a while since he's done, kind of mainstream books. That was a treat unto itself. Just Ben Templesmith art. You're like, okay, I'm good with that. So definitely the Harley Quinn was above average and well worth checking out this week of the Night Terrors. Okay, so we've gotten all the Night Terrors. We're done with those. So now on to the regular books. First up, we have Superman: The Last Days of Lex Luthor, #1, written by Mark Waid, with artwork with pencils by Brian Hinch and inks by Kevin Nolan. So the basic story here is that Lex Luthor was experimenting with kryptonite. It blows up and it basically it ends up killing him because it like gets into his cells and stuff and is basically eating him alive, this experiment that he did. So he ultimately attacks a town to get Superman's attention. And so he basically he cons Superman into saving his life. And how he does that is he records the whole thing. He's like, Lex says, hey, you'll save anybody, blah, blah, blah. And at the end, because Superman doesn't know he's being recorded, he's like, oh, well, I guess you have to do it because I recorded and the whole planet now knows that, you have to save me. And so everybody on the planet's like, dude, just let Lex die. We'd be happy with that. So Superman is trying to find a cure for him. He takes him to Kandor because, the science of Krypton and everything. And I really don't want to give any more away, but it was really, really a good story. I'm a big fan of Mark Waid. It's been a while since he's kind of written Superman, by himself. Yes, he's been writing The World's Finest. I know that. But this is a pure Superman story. But really the big win here is not only Brian Hitch's pencils, but Kevin Nolan is an inker. First of all, Kevin Nolan is an amazing artist, but his inking is really good. And I really... In a lot of ways, I really think he meshed incredibly well with Hitch's pencils. I mean, Hitch is a really good artist, but I think Nolan brings something different to the table than because Nolan is such a great artist, the way he inks other people's quite different than a regular inker. I'm not discounting regular inkers. I think, there have been great inkers over the years and continues to be, but this combination is really good. The story's really great. The artwork is fantastic. This is definitely a must buy this week. I really love it. And I picked up the Chris Samnee cover. I mean, all the covers are great, but there's something about that classic Chris Samnee cover that just is gorgeous. Next up, we have The Incredible Hulk, #2, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, with artwork by Nick Klein. So this issue, so the girl that we met last issue, Charlie, she feel, because she has a scar on her face, so she feels that she has a connection with the Hulk, but she ends up meeting Bruce Banner, and she like throws a rock at his head, like turn into Hulk, like turn it on. But really the main part of the story is that the Mother of Horrors, who basically has this, it's kind of the Church of the Dead. That's kind of the best way to describe it. And, the sheriff picks them up, takes them to this zombie or horror, dead meeting at the church, and they're going to sacrifice them, but they don't realize that they try to sacrifice Bruce Banner, and we don't, because that's the end of this issue, but I'm sure it's not going to turn out well for them. I'm really liking this. I like that Johnson is actually doing this as a horror comic. I think it really lends itself to being a horror. Nick Klein's artwork is really, really good. I'm really excited about this book. The first 2 issues have been good. Second issue built nicely on the third. And, obviously we can see this is the first story arc. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm liking it so far, so definitely pick that up. And if you missed the first issue, try to pick it up. Next up, we have Alice Neverafter, #1, written by Dan Pansion. And so the Wonderland artwork is by Gregorio Spalletta. He does the Wonderland sequences, and Dan Pansion does the London, day, current timeline in the story. So you'll have 2 different art styles, but it actually works really well. Because, you have a distinct difference between the 2 worlds, which is really nice. So the one thing is, this does continue the story threads from the first Alice miniseries that was happening. So I would check that out. I actually really liked it because it was a different take on Alice. She went to an insane asylum, and so she's been rescued from the Mad Queen and the other characters that were like Wonderland characters but in the real world. And so really her mother's trying to help her kind of get back to normal, but she still is in Wonderland. So it's kind of like, she dreams of Wonderland. That's kind of the best way to describe that. But there's also something going on in Wonderland, and it has to do with the Cheshire Cat. And I really don't want to reveal too much more, because definitely I would check out the trade of the first miniseries, and that will definitely lead you. I think you can read this by itself, but I think there's things you need to know about some of the characters and the situations to read this. So I'd say it's okay. New reader friendly, but I would definitely, if the concept here intrigues you, I would definitely check out the trade of the first one before you jump into this one. Next up, we have Batman Beyond Neo-Gotham, or Neo-Gothic #1, written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, with artwork by Max Dunbar. So this, kind of takes place after the last miniseries. So, I don't know that you necessarily need to read those. I think it would certainly help, because there are story threads from that lead into this. But basically what it is, there's an AI controlling Gotham, and Terry is trying to, he's dealing with that, but the main crux of this story is the kids in Gotham are being, they're disappearing there, and so he has to go underground to where, kind of like the mutant underground. That's a good way to describe it. To find out what has been happening, where these kids have been disappearing to. That's kind of the main crux of this story. I actually kind of liked it. I'm not necessarily the hugest Batman Beyond fan, but I did like it. I think the story was good. The artwork's actually really nice by Dunbar. It's a really good looking book. I think if you're a fan of Batman Beyond, you're gonna like it. I think if you're a casual fan, I still think it's worth checking out. I like kind of the murder mystery type story. It's a pretty basic story, but it was actually pretty good. Next up, we have Firepower number 25, written by Robert Kirkman with artwork by Chris Samnee. Yes, it's back after their pretty decently long hiatus. So we have the aftermath of the dragon has come to the real world and it's causing chaos. And so Owen, so we found out, and is a bit of a spoiler, so if you haven't been reading the book, shame on you, that we found out that Wherewhen actually killed Owen's parents. So now we're dealing with, a lot of this issue really deals with the ramifications of that and how it's affecting him, it's affecting his family. So there's that going on, but then the dragon basically goes to Chicago and just like nukes Chicago, so that's not good. So Owen and his wife are training the family, who like his son and daughter have the firepower, but they haven't quite learned how to use it. But also the other people that have survived the dragon battle, from the big dragon battle from the last few issues, they're training them because they know that they need to go up against them, but they have to have a plan this time because they kind of got their butt kicked last time. So that is what Owen and Wherewhen is trying to do. I love this book. I really I mean, it's worth it for Chris Samnee's artwork alone, but the story is actually, like I said, I'm okay with Robert Kirkman. He's not necessarily, like, oh my God, Robert Kirkman's got a new book, but it really is. I definitely feel the creativity that Samnee is bringing to this book is really just him and Kirkman are just firing on all cylinders on this book. This is a great book. You need to be checking it out. I cannot recommend this book enough. I love this book to death. Next up, we have Klik, Klik, Boom, number 2, written by Doug Wagner with artwork by Doug Dabbs. So what this is so we have Sprout, who's a mute, and she talks through photos. She takes Polaroid photos. And so Serena, who is a reporter, she was so there basically the bad guy is Harvard Dillinger. And so what we have found out that he killed Sprout's father. And Serena also, he's kind of like an evil corporate owner. She has been trying to research him, but she hasn't really gotten anywhere. And so Sprout kind of takes her. And so, Dillinger's, hit squad is going after both of them. And so they go to this hotel that Sprout has booby trapped, and so it does not turn out well for the bad guys. It was really interesting. I'm really digging this book a lot. I like Wagner has he has a very unique writing style, and he's written Plush. There's another book that he wrote. He kind of tends to be like a little like some of his stories are quite weird, but this one is pretty straightforward. It's I don't want to say mainstream. I think it still has some really unique concepts and everything, especially with Sprout, how she talks through photos. But I'm really digging this book. I really, really like this a lot. And Dabb's artwork is really nice. This is a book to really check out. I'm digging this book a lot. The second issue really built nicely on the first issue. So definitely, if your comic shop has it, definitely check it out. I'm really, really digging this book. Next up, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Usagi Yojimbo, Wherewhen, number 5, written and drawn by Stan Sakai. So this is the final issue. This is the big battle where the robot ninjas are attacking everyone, and the turtles and Usagi are going to Wherewhen's lair to shut off the power. They figured out that they're getting power from his hideout. And so that's really what this issue, it's wrapping everything up. I don't really want to give too much away from the story, but this was really good. I mean, who isn't a fan of Stan Sakai? I mean, the guy is he's really great. He's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet too. But this was it was fun. It was solid. It was great storytelling, and his artwork is amazing. He's practically one of the few people that still, all this is hand lettered. So please pay attention to like how good the lettering is in this book. It was a lot of fun. It was a real blast. And once again, it was a really good crossover, and it really had a good, sure, the story was on the simple side, but it was a good, solid story. Definitely check it out. If you missed any of the issues, I know they'll be doing a trade collection of this. But if your comic shop still has them, it was a lot of fun. Next up, we have Brzrkr, Poetry of Madness, #1, written and drawn by Steve Skroke. So what this is a standalone story. So if you haven't read Brzrkr, I guess the only thing you really need to know is that he's basically immortal and all his wounds heal. So like if he gets cut in half, like he'll heal, So what this is Brzrkr saves this he's a prince. His parents were killed in an attack, so he now is like, his job is to like protect him and take care of him. And so now it's the king of Atlantis. And so, it starts off this, people try to come and take over Atlantis, and Brzrkr just nukes them all. And so what happens is this priest convinced the king that they need to call this demon, because but they don't know what they're doing, and they call Cthulhu, and chaos ensues. So basically, it's Berserker versus Cthulhu, which and it's drawn by Steve Skroke. So I don't know how much better you could get. I mean, it's blood and chaos and everything. It's a gorgeous book. I mean, he's an amazing artist, but it's a fun story too. I mean, he packs a lot of humor in there. It's a real blast. I really dug this book. I think the only thing, it's a little it's $10, but I actually really enjoyed it. I know for some people $10, for one comic is a lot of money, but it's really quite good. I was very, very impressed with it, even for $10. But just the story was a blast. The artwork's amazing. Definitely, at the very least, check this out at your comic shop. And I think once you see the art, you're like, oh, okay, I'll pay $10. Next up, we have The Bone Orchard Mythos, the Tenement, #2, written by Jeff Lemire with artwork by Andrea Sorrentino. So what this is, it's a bit, you definitely need to read the first issue. You cannot jump into the second issue. So what it is there's these 7 people in this, apartment building, and there is a force that is basically, there's a reason all these 7 people are specifically going on this journey. So what Lemire and Sorrentino have been doing is the first issue, and this issue continues to really set up the people that are in there. You're getting to know them. So by the end of this second issue, and I don't want to give it away, let's put it this way: them and the building are taken to some place, and it does not look good. So that's really kind of kickoff for where this book is going to go, and how these 7 people are all connected into this story. Now, the other thing is that it's also going to go back to the other 2 Bone Orchard Mythos stories, and Lemire has said that there's things that you're going to notice, things that appear in Tenement that were kind of in those. Now, I don't think you have to read these to enjoy them. They definitely stand on their own, but I think there's threads that are going through all of them, and that is quite intriguing. But if you just want to read Tenement, you can totally read Tenement by itself. You just won't see the threads if you haven't read the other 2. But I saw a few threads, but I think it's one of those. I think these books are really going to work when you go back and really reread them as a whole. I think it's one giant story, but broken into separate stories. That's I think a good way to put it. But definitely well worth checking out. Y'all know I'm a big Jeff Lemire fan. Sorrentino just is an amazing artist. This is a damn good looking book. He is a great artist, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And definitely go back, because I know the first two stories are available on hardcover. Definitely go and buy those. I mean, pretty much anything by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, you just go buy, because it's that damn good. Next up, we have The Ribbon Queen, #1, written by Garth Ennis with artwork by Jason Barrows. So what this is so the story is that Detective Amy's son. So years ago, this girl Bella was kidnapped by this serial killer, and she luckily survived the whole thing. But then she was rescued by Keith Conley, who was the tactical leader at the time. So now she went away, and then she came back to the city. And recently she was well, we're pretty sure she was murdered, because there was a stab wound, and she fell out the window of her apartment. So the detective says, unless she stabbed herself and jumped out the window, she was murdered, which was actually quite funny. So Detective Sun believes that Conley is involved, so she's like, she talked to her supervisor, her leader, supervisor, and so she kind of starts following Conley. And I really don't want to give any more away, but definitely it ends up not being Conley, but there is something weird going on, and it's disturbing, but like in a good way. It's definitely like a murder mystery, but way different in a lot of respects. Ennis' story is really good. I really dug the concept here. Barrow's artwork's actually really quite nice. It's really like I said, it's very interesting, and it'll be. I'm intrigued to see where he's going to take it from here, because what you had an idea of what was going on is totally not what you think. And I like that. I like that a lot. And finally, this week we have World Tree #4, written by James Tinian IV with artwork by Fernando Blanco. So once again, World Tree is like this dark web thing that Gabriel and his friends discovered, back in the early internet days. And so what World Tree does is, if you see the website, it kind of messes you up, and it turned Ellison's brother into a serial killer, or he started killing all his neighbors and stuff. So we know from the last one that some of the, he hired people to go find, Ellison's brother's, apartment to find out what, before the police can. And Fausta, a reporter, she went in, she got possessed by the World Tree. And so they saved her. So part of this is like deprogramming her. But we also learned that Gabriel had a sister, Sammy, and I will not say more, but I'm saying we learn a lot. It's really interesting at this point in the story that there's a big, huge reveal this issue, and it really kind of changes the play field of, like, really what is Gabriel doing? I think that's the thing we know now, that there is something going on with Gabriel. So that will be really interesting. I'm really kind of digging this book, how it's a nice slow burn, but it's really, like, it's creepy. It's kind of messed up. Tynan's doing a really nice job. Like I said, it's really an interesting story. Blanco's artwork's actually really, really nice. It's definitely still worth checking out. I'm really kind of digging this book. It's got a nice slow burn to it, and I kind of like that. It's like the reveal of this issue, I wouldn't say so much as shocking, but it's like, oh, that really changes the game, and I like that. That's what I like. That's going to do it this week. As always, public service announcement, I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics in Long Beach. Ryan Skinner runs a great store. He's the owner. There's Annie, there's Wendy, there's Derek. Really great store. Lots of great customers too. It's a really good comic shop. Nothing fancy or anything. He's just really good. Has a great pull service, so you don't miss any of your books. He also offers discounts on trades and graphic novels and manga every day. He's really been working on getting building up his all ages section. Actually, he has a, he does. He has a copy of the Brothers Flick. I was very surprised by that. And definitely a really good comic shop. If you're in the Long Beach area, definitely check it out. It's a good store, and definitely, as always, please support your local comic shop. No matter where they are in the world, definitely, because they have to buy the product ahead of time before you do. So make sure you pick up your stuff you order every week, or at least on a regular basis, as best you can. And just don't leave them in the lurch. If I've gone through some stuff. I got laid off a few years ago, and I went and told Ryan. I said, hey, I don't know if I can buy my books right now. He's like, hey, I'll take care of you. That's what is good about a great comic shop owner. And once again, I was just honest with him, and that's what you need to do. And it kind of leads into what I always do. This be kind, people. Be kind to yourself. Definitely be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. It's something. It doesn't take a lot of work. Just smile, say hello, thank you. Especially at Comic-Con, there was a lot of be kind as best you can. Excuse me, the aisles were crowded, but you're gonna bump into people and stuff. You say, excuse me, sorry, didn't mean to. Everybody's pretty good, but being kind is really good. One more thing about San Diego Comic-Con. I did record some panels. Fingers crossed that the audio works, but it looked like it was going okay. There's some really good panels that I recorded, so I'll work on them this weekend, try to get at least one of them up next week. Along with the review of last week's video, last week's comic review. I'll work on that. Hopefully I'll get it up by the weekend. Fingers crossed. We'll just kind of see, because I'm still trying to recover from the convention. But anyways, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, take care of yourselves, folks. I know it's tough out there, but be kind and take care. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Tell your friends. I'd love to have more subscribers. I don't ask for anything. I don't put commercials in there. If that does, that's on YouTube. But just please share and like the video. And any questions and comments, leave them below. I'll hopefully be able to answer them in a timely basis. But thanks for watching, and we'll do it again next week. And hopefully in the meantime, I'll be able to get some other stuff in before we do next week's video. So thanks for watching, and take care of yourselves. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. All right, folks. Bye-bye.